Good evening. This is Tom, and it's pretty late, so if I'm a little slow or a little off, I'm not a professional reviewer, but I'm going to do my best. Okay, I just got in a Rio Grande from riomods.com. Actually, I received it, and the button kept melting. I sent it back to Rio Mods. Uh, they fixed the unit and returned it to me. Okay? According to Rob, he's tested it thoroughly, and that this unit, this APV, or this particular unit, is typical of a Rio Grande. Now, you see this? This is the standard atomizer that probably half the world uses. Okay? And if we put it into a Rio Grande, this is by the way, is a 2.5 ohm atomizer, and I don't know if it's from Avid or from whatever, but this was when I first got into bottom feeding and before I began doing my own RBA, or rebuildable atomizers. It's a 2.5 atomizer, 2.5 ohms. Now, if you notice, I've got by the way, I have a Panasonic 18650 battery. I tested it at 4.18 on my multimeter, and not under load, it's giving out 4.18 on the Rio. I put this little atomizer onto the Rio, the one that the rest of the world uses, but I don't. And what do I get under load on a 2.5? .98. Very little voltage drop. By the way, most people would be very happy with this 2.5, or probably a 1.8 on the Rio. And that's the reason why the Rio has such fantastic reviews. By the way, I love the form factor. I love the color. You know, it has a little squeeze bottle. It's a very durable unit. It can be rebuilt by the user. Rob sells a kit for 20 bucks. I know, because when I got it in and my button melted, I rebuilt it. But that didn't solve the problem. Anyway, so here's my recommendation. If you're vaping 1.8 and above, then I believe that the Atomizer is a great unit for you. There's only one problem. See this little stick? Well, once you've gone RBA, rebuildable atomizer, around 1 ohm, ceramic wick, low gauge coils, okay, you know what? This atomizer doesn't cut it. So, why did I buy the Atomizer? Okay, for our case study, we're going to use a red and a green, Atomizer. By the way, the Rio Grande is the unit that we tested, and these Atomizers are units that are, as I understand, modded by Rob, and they're excellent. I really like the Atomizers. Okay, well, red when the Atomizer was coming in, I said, hey, I'm going to get a red ceramic tip. Okay, I always vape ceramic or Delrin because at higher voltages, the heat will transfer up on a metal tip and burn your lips. Okay, so got a red. And the green, well, I've got a Bogger box with green stabilized wood, color coordinated. Hey, we all have our little idiosyncrasies. Anyway, I dropped my K100. Now let's start out with a 1 ohm. And 1 ohm is probably, to me, like the top. It's not sub-ohm, but it's not 1.5. Anyway, on my Bogger box, I have a fan going, so you would see a lot more vape without the fan. This 1 ohm is awesome. Now, why is that? I'll tell you. See, the Bogger box that I have is a variable volt. It will go up to 6 volts. And how many amps and how many watts, I'm not sure, but I've gotten as much as 23 watts out of it. Anyway, as you can see, on the Bogger box right now, I've got it at 5.0. And I put my 1 ohm on, and we're at 4.8 volts. Okay? A mechanical can't do it. A mechanical can't go above 4.2. See, this is a rebuildable atomizer. And when you get into the world of rebuildable atomizers, you throw the ohm charts and you throw all the the demographics for these little stick atomizers away. Why? Well, see these little sticks? They got this little piece of wick. They've got high resistant coils rolled a whole bunch of times. They're in a small space, very little surface area. They react totally different. With an RBA, okay, I use for example, I'm using a porous ceramic wick in this. I'm using, I believe, 27 gauge, which is thick wire. I've got an air hole that's ventilating it. You know, the width is about this wide instead of this wide. So what it's all about is, what is the temperature of the coils? Well, the wicking, the air, the amount of space you've got, all right, this all has tendency to suck the heat out of the coils. So you need higher voltages to get a satisfying vape. So the 1 ohm on my Bogger box, okay, is at 4.7. Well, 1 ohm and above, variable volt Bogger box rules on an RBA. No doubt about it. Now let's do a little comparison. I'm going to add a few drops of juice. By the way, I make my own juice. It's all VG 100%, and I use organic flavorings. A few years ago, I've been vaping for more than 4 years, and about 2 years into it, I developed an allergy to PG, and an allergy to the artificial flavors that they use in regular juices. So it was a choice between paying 20 plus bucks for organic, for a 30 milliliter bottle, or making it myself at around $3 or $4 a bottle. For me, that's a no-brainer. Okay, so anyway, we take this one home, and by the way, as I said, I have a 3.18 battery, totally filled, charged. This battery, by the way, is the new Sony. It's a 30 amp battery. It kicks butt. It performs better than anything I've seen out there. It's only 1600 mAh, but it just cranks. But anyway, so now let's take this and put it on the Rio, and let's see what it does. It does 3.68, 3.67. Respectable. On a Panasonic, it does 10 less. But anyway, it's doing 3.68 on a Rio. So we turn around. But by the way, that 3.68 is not satisfying to me. Not like 4.7 is. Now right here I have a K100 Camry, and the K100 is a low-end true mechanical. It doesn't have a spring like for the negative terminal. It uses a button, and you can get them for 25 bucks at Fast Tech, just the unit, the APV, or your local vape shop probably sells them for 50 or 60 bucks in the US. So if you order from China, it's very inexpensive. All right, let's see what this does. I forgot to add another drop of juice. See that 3.97 on the Camry, a full 0.3 higher. This is better. Still not as good as my 4.7, but I could probably live with it. Okay. Now we get to what I call the onion. And here is what the onion is. I'm going to take out my tankometer. And it just fell. Luckily it didn't knock too much over. And I'm going to put it, as usual, the connection likes to stay, it needs a 510 connection, and that likes to stay plugged in. So give me a second to get it out. By the way, I thank you very much for your patience. I'm doing this all in one cut. It's late. I'm a little slow. But I think that you're going to get some good content out of this. Come on, come out. By the way, be very careful with these extenders because they're very thick. And one of the things that they will and can do is they will and they can push the pin down on your unit. Okay, so I do hope that I do hope that I am unscrewing the adapter. And I didn't lose it somewhere else instead of the pin because this sure isn't coming out. 1 second, I'll get another adapter. Okay. Ah, I see what happened. I didn't need an adapter for this, but I needed an adapter for it, so I left it on the Rio. Okay, it's the Rio that I gotta take the adapter off of. Duh! Alright, stop laughing at me. Alright, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. And this is the second one I've made because my Logitech camera gave out on the first one. So hopefully each time I do it better. So now we put that little extender on. Okay? Let's take off the 1 ohm. Okay? And I'm going to do a little summation. The 1 ohm, 4.7 on the Bogger Box variable volt. 4.7 or 4.8, whatever it came out at, and awesome vape. On the K100, which, by the way, I wouldn't consider because it's not a bottom feeder. You can't compare it to the other two. I don't want it. I've tried the Genesis style tanks. They don't compare to an ERA or a Atomizer, on a bottom feeder. All right, they just don't. You don't get that instant wicking. I like bottom feeders. But the advantage of this is that it's a good test control for other units. And I'll show you in a moment. Anyway, here is the onion. Okay. This variable volt Bogger Box is awesome at 1 ohm. But I want to do sub-ohm vaping. And to me, if I can get this kind of performance out of a variable volt unit, okay, why would I buy a mechanical? The only reason to buy a mechanical is if you have a 0.5 ohm atomizer. You want to go 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, point below. You want to go below that 1 ohm, right? See, I take it and I put it on my Bogger Box and I'm pushing the button. Everything is in. And guess what? This thing ain't lighting up. The mechanics are allowing some electricity through it, right? But not enough to get a vape out of it, or what I would consider to be a tolerable vape. So, Bogger Box, I love you for 1 ohm and above, but at 0.5, thumbs down. Now, we go the next step. Let's try it on the K100. 0.50 on a K100. I hope I didn't mess it up when I tried to unscrew everything. Eee, that was dumb. Look at that. I definitely did something. It may or may not work anymore. Okay. So, unfortunately, let's see. I think I can get it working. Okay. Tighten it up. There we go. The K100 is doing 3.67. By the way, 3.67, that's very respectable on a half an ohm. Add a few little juice. I think it's time to take a vape. So in a full battery, half an ohm, I'm getting 3.65. I'm a happy camper. Except that this is not a bottom feeder. Alright? And if it's not a bottom feeder, well, then I'm just not going to be happy. So, let's move over to the Rio Grande. This unit, $25 from China, 50 or 60 bucks US. This APV, $140. You can buy a blemish one for $120. Should outperform the other, right? I mean, it's way more expensive. And again, we have a fully charged battery. And these are Panasonic 30 drain. They do about 0.10 higher than, I'm sorry, they're Sony than the panties. I get better performance out of them. And I don't want to twist this in too hard on the Bogger. Alright, and what do we get on the Bogger? Okay, we're getting 3.03. Okay. 0.65 less, almost 0.6 less than this one. So let's see how the vape is. Okay, it's okay. But it certainly is not as good as 3.65. It's not hot enough for me. Okay. Now I'm going to show you what I call the onion. See, if a mechanical, the way it works is that the output is going to depend on what the battery is pushing out. And by the way, on a Panasonic freshly charged 18650, this was in the 2s, high 2s. It wasn't even 3. Alright? Heck, let me show you. Believe I've got a fully charged panty. Okay, here it is. Okay, I'm going to take this off so you can see that it's fully charged. And what do we see? 4.20. Okay, this thing's pushing out 4.20. So what's it going to do on a Rio Grande? Did you see that? 2.88. Let me look at this again. Oh man, 2.84. Your average battery. I mean, this is the Panasonic. Let's see. I'll read you the number. All right. This is the Panasonic CGR 18650CH. This is a high drain 10 amp battery. All right. 2.88. Almost not vapable. But if you have the best battery in the world, like the Sony, it's almost there. But here's the onion. Okay? The onion is your battery isn't going to stay at 4.2. For the most part, your battery is going to be at, let's see if I can show it to you, 3.83. See that? I tested this out at 3.8. Your battery is going to go between, from 4.2 down to about 3.8, stay at 3.7 a long time, and then finally it's going to hit the dust. So the majority of the time you're going to be at around 3.8 or 3.7. Okay. What does the Rio Grande do on the Panasonic at 3.8? I can't even fire this just about. It's saying 2.75. Do you see that? 2.7. I mean, to me, it's just about unvapable. Now, let's turn around and put it on the K100. Give me just a second. I am going to take out that fully charged Panasonic. I think I'm going to sell all my, Sony. I think I'm going to sell all my Panasonics and just vape with the Sonys. I mean, they are only 1600 mAh, but they sure do kick out some voltage. All right. So we take out that 3.8, put it into our favorite, into our low-end mechanical, my $25 unit. This one was 140. 25. Here. I'll take off the atomizer, and then you can see what it's pushing out, which is 3.79. So maybe you got a little bit used, a little got used up. I mean, when you're doing sub, 0.5, you're pulling a lot of watts. But anyway, do you see that? We're at 3.21, 3.18. $3.24. $3.24. We're talking a half a volt over the Rio. And that makes a lot of difference. Okay? We're dogging 2.75 on this, 3.25 on a true mechanical. Okay? So, I do believe that we are done our testing. Okay. What's the basic result? Okay. Basically, here, let me put the bottom back into the Rio. By the way, this is one of the things I dislike, is I always have trouble sliding it. But anyway, the Rio is a beautiful unit, very well designed. It's rebuildable. It also has a, it's a bottom feeder. It's a great unit if you're using these. You're using your standard 1.5, 1.8, maybe 2.5 atomizer stock. I believe that you will be very happy with the Rio. But that's not what I use. Okay? I use a RBA. Here, take a look at what's inside now that I'm done the testing. All right? I use an RBA. Okay? We're going to see if we can get you to see what's inside. All right. About here. All right. Okay, I got a thick ceramic wick. I got 27 gauge wire, which is thick. All right. And 4 or 5 wraps. All right. The space is about this big for the wick and the wires. Okay. These little sticks. Hey. Oh my gosh, they got these little tiny coils and this little piece of wick. And there's a lot of heat in a very small spot. And they just don't compare. Okay? So, the Rio, okay, for your average person who's vaping, who is on a stick atomizer, or on an atomizer, I guess at 1.5, maybe an RBA at 1.5 or 2, might work. Okay? It's fine. Okay? I like it. I mean, it's small. Look how much smaller it is than my Bogger box. It's sleek. It's made of aluminum, durable. It's totally rebuildable. It has a lot of good features to it. But you know what? No, I'm not going to throw it out. To me, the Rio is useless. Right? I mean, if I want to vape at 1 ohm and above, my variable volt Bogger box will take it all the way up to 4.7. Blow the socks off it. If I want to vape at 0.5, my Bogger box can't do it. Thumbs down. But the Rio has too much voltage drop with a low ohm Addy. It's just not vapable. This little K100 unit for 25 bucks has better conductivity, better resistance than the $140 Rio. Okay? So, I'm going to preface this. This video has not been intended to be a Rio bashing video. Okay? I love the Atomizer, the atomizer that Rob has created. It is an excellent atomizer. And I was prepared to love the Rio. And if I was using these sticks, I would probably love the Atomizer. I mean, the Rio Grande. Okay? If I was using the little, I would love the Rio Grande. But you know what? I don't use these anymore. They're inferior. So, the Bogger box is great. There's a new Bogger box coming out, which is using the DNA 20D chip. And I've seen videos from the king of the video makers, Phil Busardo, P. Busardo, that show that DNA 20D will run sub-ohm. So I can't wait. I have one of those boxes on order. Okay. Now Rio also has a a variable volt unit, but their variable volt will only do 15 watts. My Bogger box is pushing out 20 to 23 watts, depending on what I have on it. if that variable volt Rio, right, performs as its specs are, the variable volt Rio Grande, then, you know, it's just not for me. So I wouldn't even buy one to try it. Right? Anyway, this, by the way, is a great value, but it's not a bottom feeder. So you're going to have to put a Genesis tank on it, or you're going to have to manually drip. That means you got to stand over there and you got to take your liquid and drip it right into the atomizer, and sloppy. All right. Whereas, okay, okay, I got to put this back together again. With my Bogger box, well, I just squeeze. Squeeze again. And I'm not constantly carrying around a bottle. Tremendous vape. Anyway, I want to thank you very much for watching this video. I know I'm going a little slow, and I'm not a professional reviewer, okay? But a lot, you know, I've seen a lot of inquiries on the forum. Oh, what should I buy in terms of bottom feeders? Well, here are the, I guess that's what I'll end it with. Here are the choices. The least expensive APV out there, when it's on sale, is the VMod. But the VMod does not have what the Rio has, which is, or the Rio VV, this well, okay, where you can put a small RBA in, or rebuildable atomizer in. I can, you know, I'm able to put an ERA in this. I have one. I have a Cyclone on the way, a Reamizer. Small RBAs will fit into this, and they will fit into the Rio Grande and the variable volt Rio Grande. Okay? But the VMod is not designed to accept the RBAs. So if you're into RBAs, forget the VMod. If you expect maybe in the future to be into RBA, forget the VMod. Either Bogger Box or Rio is the way to go. Now, there are some other manufacturers, but every time I go to their site, they're sold out. A month, 2 months. I can't, you know, if I can't get it, then I don't really consider it to be available. What's very nice is that Rob is constantly putting out units on his site. He posts them, and then, you know, as they come out, and then you can buy them right off of his site. And he's consistently putting out the Rio Grande and the variable volt Rio Grande, so you can buy them. Now Marcus, over at BoggerBoxMods.com, he has a number of different models. One of those, which I would love to try, would be his just regular unit. I'd love to see how it would compare in, you know, to the Rio, but I just can't. You know, I've asked him to test it out with sub-ohm and see how it is. And if it doesn't have too much of a drop, I might pick one up. But anyway, Marcus has a number of boxes, always seems to have a number of boxes that are what I call stock, where, you know, he's made them with, you know, certain type of woods, and you just look on the site, pick the one you like, and buy it. That's what this is. Now, the other part of Bogger Box business is custom. See, a lot of people like to have special woods, special combinations of woods, and he has a whole selection of those. My variable volt Bogger Box that's going to be a DNA 20D that I have on order is going to be all stabilized wood, and I believe that it's going to be a really beautiful unit. So I want to state again, okay, I am not Rio bashing. The Rio for the average person who's vaping in the tolerances that I've mentioned is a very fine unit. But if you are vaping sub-ohm, the Rio just ain't gonna cut it. Have a good night, or good day, or good morning.